Good morning, everybody. My name's Kelly Maynard. I'm the Head of Distribution and Partnerships for Business Events Australia. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. We're delighted this is the third of our product webinars featuring the Signature Experiences collection of Australia, which is some really unique product around Australia that you may not have heard of. Some you may be aware of, but we're hoping that you find this beneficial with some product that can enhance any incentive or conference program. So today we're going to feature two of the collectives. I'm delighted to share with you Great Golf Courses of Australia, and Elizabeth Sattler, or Biz, is going to be giving you an update. And then we have Kate Schilling joining us from Ultimate Winery Experiences of Australia. So we're going to go through the two presentations. We will be recording the session, so we can share it afterwards for anyone who couldn't join or colleagues you'd like to share with. And we're happy to answer any questions as we go. So there is a Q&A box. If you want to put your questions in, we'll take questions at the end of each presentation. So yeah, please sit back and enjoy. And I'm going to hand over firstly to Biz with Great Golf Courses. Thank you.
The Great Golf Courses of Australia. So as Kelly mentioned, my name is Elizabeth Sattler and I am the Executive Officer of Great Golf Courses of Australia. Great Golf Courses of Australia is a collaborative marketing and distribution program, and basically what we do, or we have collated the top golf courses in the country, and in normal times we would market those to international guests and corporate and incentive groups looking to come to Australia to play golf. The golf market is very lucrative. It's very much focused on that high net worth individuals, and as you'll probably be aware, certainly businessmen and boards and high-end corporate and incentive is a space where golf is very prevalent, and we do see a huge number of those board members and corporates and groups playing on these courses, or members of golf courses that we actually represent. So I've just got here a little video and I'm going to get this started. I'll just remove myself so we don't have to see me in it, and we'll get started with some inspiration.
From the day's first light to the fading dusk, the spirit of adventure calls. A shared pursuit beckons. An escape to big skies and new horizons. Home to over 1,500 courses and year-round playing weather, golf is a large part of the great active Aussie lifestyle. Across Australia, from coast and countryside to capital city, your journey awaits. A journey that ventures to championship layouts, remote coastal links, and the famed courses of the World Top 100. Our fairways take in some of this country's most incredible natural scenery, from deserts, palm-fringed islands, and celebrated wine regions, to the prestigious clubs of the great Melbourne Sandbelt. With routes designed by some of the most famous architects in the game, 9 of the world's top 100 courses and venues that have hosted some of the world's most prestigious events, Golf in Australia is the opportunity to explore some of the best public and private courses on the planet, with scenery to match. So come, walk in the footsteps of your heroes and experience golf like nowhere else in the world.
Cool. Oh, you can see me here again now. So that's just a little again, a little overview about golf in Australia. For many people that I work with, particularly in the tourism industry, I'd say probably 80% don't play golf. So I'm going to just work on the assumption today that you don't play a huge amount of golf, and give you a little bit of base knowledge about what golf in Australia entails and why it's so lucrative, or why it appeals so much to that corporate market. So as I mentioned, we have 28 golf courses all across the country. The only state that we do not have a golf course is the Northern Territory. It's a little bit dry up there, so we don't have any golf courses up in the NT. You will see here that, and from this map, that there is a lot of golf courses located very close to major metropolitan areas. And this is something that's of particular interest to golf in Australia, is a real accessibility of being able to get to these very, very high-end golf courses, but also be able to stay in the city or conference in the city during the same period. So, for example, Melbourne, you will see a dense number of golf courses located here, which is just outside Melbourne CBD on an area called the Sandbelt. Now, the Melbourne Sandbelt is about 25 minutes from Melbourne City, a very, very globally famous area for golf. And the beauty of being able to have all these top golf courses in such close proximity to the city is that it really allows you to make the most of all the experiences that Melbourne and the culture and the region has to offer, as opposed to being quite remote and being out there just to play golf. Having said that, there are other destinations in Tasmania, up on Hamilton Island here, that if corporates or boards or high-end incentive groups are looking for something really quite exclusive and remote, then there's those opportunities for to capitalise on those courses out there as well. So what's so special about Australian golf? Well, we're actually home to 9 of the top 100 courses in the world, which is quite an incredible feat. Now, we mentioned in that video earlier that the golf courses we work with in the collective are a mix of public access golf courses, and that means that basically anybody can play. You can ring up just like you will ring up and book a hotel and book in a tee time. And then we also have our private member golf clubs. So these clubs are very exclusive, predominantly private membership. So to be able to access a golf tee time there, you would actually have to be a member or know a member. However, because we're a partnership with the golf courses, we can actually help facilitate golf tee times at those private courses, which again really adds that element of exclusivity and prestige to your group, and is something that most of the time they won't be able to access on their own. So our World Top 100 courses, we've got here the 2 Royal Melbourne courses, very, very well known. Royal Melbourne is actually the top golf course. Royal Melbourne West is the #1 golf course in Australia and actually #9 in the world. It's hosted a number of very prestigious tournaments, and you may have heard of the President's Cup, which was held at Royal Melbourne in December last year, when we were all allowed to gather in large groups. Not quite the same now, but anyway, I digress. Kingston Heath, which is also on the Melbourne Sandbelt there, Barnbougle Dunes and Barnbougle Loss Farm, which are in Tasmania. New South Wales, which is in Sydney, the National Old Course, which is down on the Mornington Peninsula, Royal Adelaide, quite self-explanatory, Elliston, and then Cape Wickham, which is on King Island. Elliston, we have a little asterisk here. Elliston is actually the private golf course of James Packer. Unfortunately, we are not able to access that. It's the only course in the top 100, Australia's top 100 listing that we can't access. It's just for his private use. They don't have members. There's no availability, unfortunately, to get on there. So what we look at with the Great Golf Courses of Australia, in addition to just the draw card of the courses in particular, is some inspiration by interest and combining golf and other activities to create quite a holistic itinerary. So obviously golf doesn't take all day to play, usually between 5 and 6 hours we would allocate for that. However, the beauty of the golf courses in Australia is they are very diverse, and they're also located in areas that are close to other great tourism experiences that you can partner up together. So obviously we've got our World Top 100 courses, we've got some amazing coastal and links golf courses, metropolitan courses, as I've mentioned previously, Dr. Alistair Mackenzie design. So Dr. Alistair Mackenzie is a very, very famous, or was a very famous golf course architect. He's now deceased. He designed golf courses in the 1920s and 30s, and he actually designed Royal Melbourne West, and he influenced Kingston Heath, Royal Adelaide, New South Wales Golf Club, and a number of golf clubs around Australia. Post his trip to Australia, Scottish by origin, he went to the US and designed a few golf courses that you might have heard of, Cypress Point and Augusta National, which are 1 and 2, or work in and out of the top 2 or 3 golf courses in the world on a regular basis. And Augusta National is also obviously home of the US Masters. Golf and Wine, now Kate's going to obviously divulge further into the wine side of things in a moment, but the great collaborations between golf and wine is obviously there's a lot of synergies there between the markets, but also a lot of our golf courses are located really close proximity to some of the top wineries in Australia. Golf and wildlife, there's a lot of wildlife obviously visible on the courses, championship courses. So again, for high-end incentive groups, this is a really big draw card, is being able to play on the courses that very famous tournaments have been held on, and we can certainly help facilitate that as well. And then modern golf architects of influence. So a place of corporate and incentive golf group dreams. So I've just included a little slide here talking a little bit about why golf is so appealing to this market. So we do talk about groups of golfers being in multiples of 4, so 4, 8, 12, 16, and for high-end incentive groups, anything between groups of 4 and 16 is a really nice number. However, if you have a large conference or a large group, you can actually buy out the entire course for the day. And golf courses are actually very, very well versed in corporate activity. So corporate market and corporate golf days is something that they do really regularly, and they run it very smoothly, and it's a great opportunity for networking, for a bit of friendly competition. There's usually always a pre or post or both a function. You might arrive, have breakfast on arrival, and then go out golf, and then there'll be a post-golf function where everyone gets prizes, wine, and there's networking that happens around that as well. It's very easy to facilitate branding and gifting. Obviously post-catering options. We do have some facilities that have on-course accommodation, and we do have private heli charters available for those really high-end incentive groups between destinations and to particular golf courses as well. So normally, the way that we would run a corporate golf day would depend on the size. If it was a group of anywhere between 4 and 16, basically what would happen is they would just have a regular tea time. So one group of 4 would go, and then 10 minutes later the second group, and then so on for the 4 to 16, which is why you don't really want groups larger than 16 just going on a regular tea time, because they won't all finish at the same time. When we talk about a shotgun start, we talk about all the golfers teeing off at exactly the same time. So basically what happens is one group starts on the first, one group starts on the second hole, one group starts on the third. There's a shotgun that goes off, and all the golfers play simultaneously. And the beauty of that is it means that everybody finishes at the same time. So then you can go straight into your function or your luncheon or whatever that might be, and everybody is finished and had a great time on the golf course and ready for a glass of wine. So we do have a number of tools and resources available for you to be able to use. Obviously our training module, we've got fact sheets, we can assist with itinerary and corporate function setup suggestions. We've also got our golf masterclasses, which I'll speak about at the moment, and we've just established a new trade portal on the back of the Great Golf Courses website. Now that should launch in the next week or so, and what I'll do is I'll let Adam and Kelly have the link to that, and they can distribute that to you guys for me. So a few things that we just need to talk about when we're looking at golf in Australia. As I mentioned, a lot of the golf courses are either world-class public access courses or they're private member golf clubs. Now, the beauty of the private membership and our partnership is that we can access courses that normally would be unavailable. On the flip side, they do have obligations to their members. So there are some days of the week that we can't get access to the golf course, especially if you were looking at a full buyout of the entire course for the day. So what we would just ask you to do is give us a few date suggestions so that we can work with the club to be able to facilitate the setup that would best suit you and your client. So we can obviously help plan custom itineraries and book golf at Australia's top courses. I should just touch on that really quickly in that we're slightly different to the other signature experiences collectives, whereas we can assist and actually booking your golf tee times for you. It's still done in very traditional means by emailing and us picking up the phone and talking directly to the clubs, but it does make it much easier for us to be able to shuffle things around if needed and accommodate any special requests that you might have. So we can book anything within the confines of the golf club, anything from the luncheon to golf tee times, caddies, carts, anything that you might need within the golf course. We don't have carts, so not all the golf courses that we work with will have carts. So when I'm talking about golf carts, I'm talking about the driving carts, and particularly if you're having a whole course buyout, it's very unlikely that there'll be enough carts for every group. So traditionally golf is a walking game, and in the courses of Scotland and Ireland, the game is very much walking only. We're the same in Australia. If your client has a physical disability and cannot walk the entire course, we can obviously arrange for a golf cart with medical certificate, but please just know that not all the golf courses will have a driving carts available for hire. We don't have many caddies, and again, caddies are something that, particularly for international groups, are quite a big draw card. And a caddy, if you don't play a lot of golf, think of them as like your own private little tour operator to get you around the golf course. So they'll provide tips on where you should hit your golf ball so that you don't get in the bunkers that you can see here, what club you might use if you're trying to hit a certain distance, what the wind direction is doing, so that they can enhance the experience of the golfer and hopefully help them play to their best ability. So if your clients would like a caddy, which we can facilitate, but we do need to make sure those are booked in advance. And for very large groups of over 20, it's unlikely that we'll be able to get enough caddies to be able to facilitate one for every group. So please just keep that in mind and make sure that when you're going through the booking process that you alert us to that. Tee time reservations. For small incentive groups of like anywhere from 4 to 16, some of the courses might require a letter of introduction. A letter of introduction is basically quite a traditional thing that the golf courses do, and it is a letter from a golfer's home club introducing them to the membership of the private club that they're hoping to play. And the aim is to basically just introduce them and to let the members of the club that they're looking to play know that they're there to respect the facility and that they'll leave it in the condition that they found it in, basically. Course etiquette. So this leads on to course etiquette. Obviously, golf is a game that is very well known for its etiquette, and sometimes for people that don't play, that can seem a little bit archaic and a bit mundane. However, it's really important to remember that a lot of these etiquette rules are actually around, firstly, the safety of the golfers. If you've got large groups out there, many people on the course, you have to be very careful that people aren't going to be hit or hurt by golf balls flying all over the place. And also to ensure that the golf course is left in the condition that they found it in. Obviously, I'm sure you would appreciate that if you had clients come in to play golf and they're teeing off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but there'd been 15 groups that had left earlier in the day, you want to make sure that your clients are going to get out on that golf course and it's going to look in like the condition that the first group that played at the start of that day, they received when they were out there. So it's really just making sure that the course is left in a really tip-top condition as well. Caddies we've touched on, carts we've also just mentioned, and private club ability I've touched on as well. So golf masterclasses I did mention very quickly just previously. In the phase of lockdown that we've been in over the past few months, we have actually developed a series of golf training and education sessions. These look at everything from a history of golf, understanding terminology, understanding different types of golf courses, architects, how to play the game, how to score, and everything up to specifics about courses in different regions of Australia. They're all available on Vimeo. They're quite short, probably anywhere between 10 and 15, 18 minutes long. So you can pick and choose the ones that you would want to watch. But if you're looking at assisting in that golf space and you have clients with requirements and you're not well versed in golf and you feel like you just want to touch up your knowledge, I hope that they will help you be confident in talking about golf and selling golf, because it is a space that once you know a little bit more about it, it really makes it much easier to help your clients. So that is all I have for today. You can see there our website, greatgolfaustralia.com.au, and social media handles. And again, my name is Elizabeth. My contact details are down there if you've got any questions. And I think we've got a couple of minutes available now for question time. Is that right, Kelly?
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Biz. That was great, and hopefully gives you a really good snapshot of around Australia and, you know, what great opportunities there are for golf, and really getting access to some of that unique product that normally, you know, groups wouldn't have access to. So at this stage, we don't have any questions. Does anyone have any? I have one question. Do you often find, Biz, people want to just have functions at the clubhouses of some of those golf courses because they're in great locations, or do you find most of the corporate groups you have generally combined golf and doing some sort of event at the same time?
A bit of both. Probably most would play as well. Charity golf days and charity functions are also a really big thing that the golf courses facilitate. Sometimes you will just get a charity dinner out there at one of the golf courses, and the clubs are very happy and can obviously facilitate that as well. So that's no problem at all. But I would say most would play, particularly the top courses, just because to be able to access some of those courses is such a privilege.
Somebody's probably going to be interested in cost, and I know it's ridiculously, you know, hard to put a general cost on what an experience would cost, given each course is so different. But can you maybe give an approximate, if somebody was looking at a, you know, corporate golf day, so a half day of 18 holes, and then, you know, at one of those courses, what that, you know, what even the ballpark range of price would be for a group?
To include 18 holes and then a lunch after would be in the vicinity of $180 to $200 a head at the bottom level, and then anything up to probably a couple of $100 a head depending on the course. Having said that, most of the courses will have a group rate. So for groups larger than 20 or 24, that will normally look at more like a corporate golf day rate, and there'll be a different buyout rate for groups of that size.
Great. Does anyone have any other questions before we move on to talk about wine? No? Last chance? Thank you, Biz. That was great.
Thanks.
So now we're going to move on to the Ultimate Wineries Collection of Australia, and Kate Schilling, who's the Executive Officer. And this, you know, some, again, really great product here that is fabulous for, you know, domestic events or international when the time's right. So over to you, Kate.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity to chat to you today about the Ultimate Winery Experiences of Australia. And a shout out to Biz. Thank you very much. This is my new favourite image at the moment. It's of Joseph Cromie down in Tasmania in the Tamar Valley. And it's a really, it's one of our core examples, I guess, of how we work with our fellow signature experiences. One of our really interesting reserve range experiences is called Golf, Wine and Art, and it combines winery experiences at Joseph Cromie, Barnbougle Golf, and then down to Mona and Marilla in Hobart for the art and more, and even more wine, which is always a good thing. So I'm the woman that works with the wineries, and a little bit of background. I suspect most of you know a little bit about us, but there have been some pretty big changes in the last 12 months in growing our portfolio. We started over 7 years ago, and we came together because Tourism Australia had realised that food and wine was part of the decision-making process when it came to when people were thinking, where will I go on holidays, and what am I going to do? The food and wine on offering was a really important part of that process. So they started doing the hard yards in inspiring people about the great food and wine scene in Australia. And they did such a good job that people started to be inspired and think, okay, well, where do I go and what do I book and what's the best experience for me? And they realised there wasn't a lot of bookable product around wineries at that stage. And thankfully, at that same time, there were 9 of our wineries who were getting together. In the wine world, there's such a thing called the D2C, direct-to-consumer strategies, that they're all starting to develop. And they realised that if they were able to develop deeper, richer experiences on site in the vines and at the winery, then customers would stay longer, learn more, and get really connected to that winery. And as they left, buy more wine then and into the future. So it was a meeting of the minds 7.5 years ago. And we find ourselves 7 years later with not 9 wineries, but 25 wineries in our mix. Adam, how do I turn this, change it over? There we go. So I just wanted, given that I've had a quick look at the registration list, and I know a lot of you know a little bit about us, but I'm really excited to be able to really focus on the corporate side of our business and the corporate business that's coming in through the wineries this year. Yes, we've all had a pretty horrific start to the year, but I can tell you that the business that started coming back sooner rather than later is the corporate business. And all of our wineries are reporting in as the regulations loosened up a little bit state by state, and then of course came down again in Victoria. The business that's come back sooner rather than later has been the corporate business. Okay, so so yeah, I guess from a corporate point of view, business events, the wineries are really keen to pursue opportunities this year at a greater depth. We've already seen a great comeback from the industry, and whether it's small businesses who are just dying to get out of town and get their teams together, even larger businesses who have teams in different locations, we've been able to help them out, creating different bespoke events for them, and it's been received really well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our ultimate winery experiences and then the things that we can do to make them even more unique for the business events crowd. So here we are in 2020, and what I think has been interesting for my team, we're all tourism professionals, not wine experts, but it's pretty clear that we are the global leaders, not just in winemaking and so on, but global leaders as well in wine tourism. And what we've collected together, and we hand select our wineries, is a mix of wineries that really highlight the innovation and the diversity that's on offer when you visit an Australian winery. And TA's line has always been, their mission is to invite people to experience the Australian way with life. We extend that a little bit to invite them to experience the Australian way with wine. And again, when you visit a winery with us, Adam, it's just not moving on. There we go. You can really see it's not a same experience, winery by winery. We really work with the wineries to create different experiences that reflect their core DNA. So when you're thinking about your customers and who is the ideal customer that's going to come along and book an ultimate winery experience, we have 2 different camps. A smaller camp, but a significant camp, is what we call the crazy wine people. They're those customers that you'll all have that are really into their Pinots or their Rieslings. They're losing sleep because they're missing the vintage from 2016 and they really need to fill that gap. If you've got crazy wine customers or a corporate group that's really into their wine, we can dial up the crazy to meet whatever their needs are. We can get technical and get, the winemakers really love going crazy with this sort of thing. So there's definitely opportunities to deliver above and beyond when it comes to specific wine requests. But by and large, the bulk of our customers are what we call the experience seekers. They are customers and corporates that really love great food and wine, but they love it even more if they're sitting in the winery and the wine's being poured by the winemaker who made that wine. They're hearing the stories about the production of the wine, and they're probably eating food that grew in the kitchen garden, which is just over there, because it's all about that local provenance and terroir when it comes to what experience seekers are looking for. What we're noticing, as before the world unraveled this year, going regional resonates with our customers. They're generally city-based, urban, go people, and that opportunity to take their teams out of town and give back to the community. Those trends were emerging even before COVID hit us, and they're really resonating now. Of course, the big key, all wineries offer paid tastings these days, and in the world of COVID, to be booked, pre-booked. Where we go that little bit further is we offer the opportunity to explore beyond the cellar door. We work with our wineries so that they can offer private access into places that regular customers don't ordinarily go. And the real key, I guess, to what we offer is that opportunity for us to, we can put your people in the picture and we can connect them with our people who are really, I guess, behind the place there. And this is an example, I guess, when we talk about our, the stories that set the scene and the history that sits behind the winery, we're about making sure that your customers get access to the drivers, I guess, the owners, the winemakers, the chefs and so on, because generally our customers will pay that little bit more because they want to learn from the locals and hear experiences that come straight from the coalface. We handpick our wineries, and I guess our first criteria is around the quality of the wine. Of course, it's a really subjective thing, but with us, you can be confident that premium wines are a given when you book an Ultimate Winery experience. As I mentioned, we're well famous for our innovation and our diversity, and we've selected our wineries so that they reflect that. To talk a little bit about where our wineries are located, currently we're 25 wineries strong in 15 different wine regions across the country. You can see there that we've got most of the major wine regions covered. And generally what we've aimed for as we've grown is to get a collection, what we call a gang of three in each particular winery, because for the corporate crowd in particular, it becomes not just about going to one winery and having one event, it's about really exploring that destination. And we've been able to set up our processes so that the wineries in each region work together to really complement what each of them are offering and offer that true deeper dive into the destination. So you can see we've got 3 wineries there in Margaret River. We've also, for those that are looking to book small groups with accommodation, we've got a couple of wineries, 6 wineries in fact, who have accommodation on site, including Mandoon Estate on the Swan banks of the Swan River in Perth. They've got a 36-room boutique hotel right on the banks of the river there, as well as a winery and all the experiences that go with it. We also have a winery in Queensland, which not everyone's expecting. Syrah is the home of the Australian Winemaker of the Year this year, Mike Hayes. They also have accommodation. They've got glamping tents on the banks on a lake, and opportunities to go beyond the cellar door within their winery. And both those locations are really close to the airport. So if you're looking for a base that's more city, about that city, even though you get that country feel, and to give you an example, Syrah in Queensland is on 560 acres, but they're only a half-hour drive from Brisbane Airport. So if you're looking to hold an event in Brisbane, yes, you could go to a city hotel, and I'm sure they're all great, but it might actually have more resonance if you're putting people in a winery that's just as far from the airport and has accommodation on site, plus all the experiences that sit behind that winery. We've got a couple of wineries in Tassie. We're looking to grow our portfolio there. We've got Joseph Cromie, as I mentioned at the beginning, in the Tamar Valley, and Marilla, who is the winery that's owned by Mona. We work really closely with the Cultural Attractions of Australia on some joint experiences there that bring wine and art together. In New South Wales, we've got a big cohort in the Hunter Valley. We have our gang of 3 there. And I guess that's a really great way of showing how each winery complements each other. In the Hunter, you've got Brokenwood, who've just invested their $8 million in their fantastic cellar door. They offer a really interesting way to see behind the scenes from the winery from above, as well as walk through their vines through to some of their famous vineyards. You then can compare that with Tyrrell's, one of the first families of wine. Chris Tyrrell is generation number 6, and an example of an ultimate winery experience that reflects the heritage is Tyrrell's Sacred Sites experience, where you will walk with one of the Tyrrell's family generally to 6 different sites and drink wine that has been produced from the grapes grown on those sites. But the kicker is all of those sites are over 100 years old. So you get to see and experience and understand, I guess, the heritage of Australian wine, which you would think we're a relatively new country, but we actually have some of the oldest vines in the world when it comes to specific varieties. And of course, the third winery that really rounds that out is Audrey Wilkinson, also a really well-known old winery, has amazing heritage, plus amazing views, and they offer some lovely experiences that incorporate an understanding of wines past and present, but also they offer a lot of experiences that are in the great outdoors because they have a beautiful location, one of the best, most photographed locations in the Hunter Valley. And I guess it gives you an idea because I've never talked helicopters as much as I have in this role. I know you can land 5 helicopters on the helipad at Audrey Wilkinson because we've organised that for corporate groups. So it gives you an idea on locations and how the wineries all work together. To finish off our portfolio, we have our heartlands are really South Australia and Victoria. Victoria's going through tough times right now, but they are really operating pretty seamlessly, albeit in a takeaway capacity right now. But we have our gang of 3 up in northeast Victoria with the King and Alpine Valleys. We've got Tabilk in Nagambie. We have a Yarra Valley Winery with De Bortley, and then we have Point Leo Estate and Montalto down on the Mornington Peninsula, and they're all within, easily accessible from Melbourne. And again, very experienced when it comes to corporate businesses and that Melbourne crowd. And finally, in South Australia, we've got the Barossa, the Eden Valley wineries in McLaren Vale, and of course, Penfolds, who was one of our founding members. So just to talk you through our 25 wineries, currently from a classic bookable experience, the wineries, we currently offer 120 bookable experiences. These are experiences that we can then lift and curate, especially for the business events crowd. But to give you an idea on price, they range in price from anywhere from $50 to $5,000. The average price is around $250 to $300 per person, and 80 of them, when the world is back on track, 80 of them are free sale. So there's something, if you've got customers, particularly maybe in that incentive space, where you're looking to enhance an existing itinerary, you can be confident booking these because they're generally free sale. They run every day. The interesting thing that we've started to measure is our impact in region, because I know for the corporate side of the world, in fact, for all customers, that opportunity to contribute and give back is really important. We did a report for Tourism Australia early this year where we went to the wineries and said, how many other businesses do you work with when you're putting together your ultimate winery experiences? And we're estimating, and it's pretty conservative, that our 25 wineries support and work with 2,000 other businesses within Australia. So if you're talking to your corporate clients about that opportunity to, if they're thinking about where they want to go, and this idea of sustaining the community, as well as sustaining and linking into those I guess that it's not more than a trend, it's a value that a lot of businesses are putting into place. We take that very seriously, and we know that really with our wineries, we know that we're anchor attractions, and we have this opportunity to not just, yes, you can experience that particular winery, but we want to help the whole community that sits around us as well. So when we talk about our experiences, I'm going to flash through the way that we kind of divide them up so you get an idea on what you can start to talk about with your customers. And we talk about our classic experiences, then the ways that we can connect them together into wine trails and weekenders, and then how you can curate them and take what's already an ultimate winery experience and create something even more unique. We call that the reserve range, and that's very much at the heartland of how we work with business events. So when it comes to the classics, we divide them into 4 brand pillars. We talk about our taste pillar, which is all around the food and wine experience. And there's different ways that we have developed experiences that kind of highlight how food and wine work together. Yes, we've got our matching experiences, but we also talk about the locations on when you can do those food and wine experiences. Our picnics sell their socks off. And they are pretty premium, and they're definitely something that when you talk about unique locations for corporates and so on, we've got some really lovely locations that we know that businesses talk about long after they've left. We also have a lot of wineries who have developed fine dining options and fine dining restaurants. A lot of them have been recognised with the HAP system, and again, beautiful locations, often in heritage buildings where you can hold special events. When it comes to the create pillar, this is about the DIY masterclass element. And for us, yes, there's wine education, but we want this to be really fun and hands-on. And we're able to customize these different experiences for particular corporates, depending on your needs, how much time you've got, and whereabouts you're located. I've blended a few of my own Kate Schilling Shirazes in my time with Ultimate Wineries. I'm not sure that they're as great as the originals, but I'm definitely willing to give those a go. We have a lot of culinary classes as well, because again, that food and wine proposition is hand in hand. And we talk about the artistic endeavours, because I think for the corporate crowd, running a meeting or running a conference, a small group event in a lovely vineyard is one thing, but we find a lot that our wineries have a strong connection with the arts. That image there on the right is from Point Leo Estate on the Mornington Peninsula. They've been collecting sculptures for years, and their sculpture park is just gobsmacking next to the winery on the banks of Port Phillip Bay. And then, of course, our sister property down there is Montalto. They've got a connection with the Wheeler Centre when it comes to the literary arts, and they have their own sculpture trail within their vines. The Mitchell family has been really proactive in supporting emerging sculptors. So if you're looking to create an event for a Victorian crowd, this is something really unique and something different to just sending them to the races and putting them in the birdcage, which is your standard stuff in Victoria. We're big on celebrations. We're all about that sense of arrival and being able to create events. It's something that the wineries did long before they started to put their experiences together. In fact, I'd suggest that the experiences are really lots and lots of little events, whether it's been weddings or meetings for corporates and so on. Our wineries are very good at dealing with crowds. There's some really beautiful locations, and again, we can create something pretty unique, knowing the levers that we can pull, whether it's location, time of day, types of wine that your customers want to book, and the people that we can, I guess, wheel out, for want of a better term, the winemakers and so on. We can give people exclusive access and create some pretty special stuff. And of course, there's that larger discovery within each destination. As I mentioned, all our wineries are anchor attractions within each region, and they work with the other operators in region to really give your customers a really good understanding of what's going on in the wider region. I talked about the accommodation, that is the Sanctuary at Mandoon. But again, we've got the glamping, and some of the wineries can put smaller groups into heritage cottages that are on site or alongside. And we work really closely with luxury lodges in key regions. The Barossa and Margaret River are good examples of that, where we can put we've discovered, we've created, we're going to connect. So I wanted to give you some ideas. We're here with, we bring you lots, I guess I have a product manager and a content manager, and collectively we can be your single point of contact for different ideas and different ways to present winery experiences to your customers. Firstly, of course, there's our website. If you're looking to inspire them, I'd invite you to start following us on social and looking at all those different opportunities. From an information point of view, from the get-go, I'd recommend that you register on our trade site. We can give you access to images, rates, and different product, nitty-gritty product information, and that's where Kate Mullis starts to work her magic. She's our product manager. But I think where it works particularly well with the corporate crowd is the collateral that we can customise for you. Whether that's these are our cookbook cards, but we've got fact sheets that can help if you're working with the conference organisers and so on, or you need something a little bit more customised for them. We have the ability to customise content for you and really, I guess, give them a customised feel that this has been developed especially for them. And of course, we've got our team on site. I know this looks a bit casual, but everyone, I put this in because it really shows everyone's incredibly enthusiastic about the opportunity to, I guess, unlock what's on site for your customers. And as I said, it's this access and opportunity to really go, the best way to sample Australian wines is to go straight to the source. And our wineries are really keen to share that with you. So whenever we're looking at, yes, you can come to us as that single point of contact. We'll help you craft the most amazing experience for your customers. But these guys who you can see on the screen there are really a major part of that. And they're the ones that you'll end up working with. All professionals, all very experienced in delivering experiences on site. And what I wanted to just finish off with is, yes, we're a bit more restricted than we usually are. One thing that's really emerged, and I think is here to stay, is the virtual experiences that we've been able to put together. So if in the event that you find that you've got a group, some of whom can travel to the winery, some of whom can't, if everyone just wants to stay home but still have that winery experience, we have developed some pretty amazing ways to, I guess, bring that experience to you. We do a lot of pop-up winery tastings in gateway cities, but we've also started to see great cooking classes that can come into people's homes. You can do the art of sparkling, which is the Joseph Cromie make your own sparkling wine experience at home. I've done it. It was really good fun, and it was really good to get a group of people together to do that. And this is when I was talking at the beginning about how we've seen the corporate business come back. Brokenwood last, 2 weeks ago, put on a corporate experience for a group of IT professionals who were, I think, in all states. They did a tasting, they sent the wine out just 2 weeks prior, and they ran through a corporate tasting as this IT group got together for a team meeting. More power to the West Australians, because I believe it was a morning meeting, so they would have been doing their tasting at about 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'd love to go to more team meetings like that. So, but again, if you're thinking about, God, what does the future look like for business events? It's a reason why we're quite excited about that, because we've seen the way that our wineries can innovate to mix that, I guess, online and on-site experience and make sure that everyone can stay engaged. I just, again, wanted to just reiterate that we're seeing a lot more ways that we can help you connect the dots with the different wineries in different ways. And just, I guess, to let you know where we are right now, orange is the new black for us in a real sense. The map on the left was from April when everything had shut down. The grey wineries were open just for takeaway. You can see as the world moved on, more and more opened up. Currently, we have most of our wineries are open and operating experiences, and particularly customized experiences suit them because they're able to really, they've got the call on resources to come in as required. We still have some wineries who are shut down, but they're planning on opening when the borders lift. So come to us if you've got any inquiries about who's open and who's not. But overall, we've seen the momentum has changed state by state according to the different, I guess, what's allowed in each state. But there's been huge opportunities, and that corporate business is going gangbusters. And I wanted to just reiterate, all our wine regions are much closer than you think. Winery experiences are really easy to organise, and I suggest that if you're looking at your customers, they've got to eat, they've got to drink during their meeting. Why would you not do it at one of our wineries? Because I think we can offer some really unique ways and memorable experiences that will stand them in good stead. And I guess for us, this is where we've been starting to really crack that private, premium, boutique and bespoke opportunity. We understand that in the corporate world, you don't want to be booking something that you can find on Google. So we have a slew of things that we keep some powder dry. So if you're looking for something that's ultimate and unique and ultimately ungoogleable, get in touch with us, because we've got some really great examples of how the wineries have worked with corporates in each wine region. And we can customize all that collateral for you. We're here as your concierge for the Australia's best in wine tourism, and that's me. And is that it? I think it is. Questions?
Thank you so much, Kate. That was a great showcase around Australia of some of those, unique wineries and unique product. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to drop them in the Q&A box. I have one question, Kate. There might be some groups out there, random I know, that may not be into wine so much.
Yeah.
One of the things that I know about some of the wineries is they do have some unique, products and experiences that don't have to necessarily be with wine, and also great event spaces.
Yes.
Is there maybe a couple that jump out as a highlight, that if someone's got a group where wine's, important, but
Yeah.
not the key focus?
It's more the extraordinary locations. Is
Yes,
that what
and the
you're looking at?
great experiences and beautiful venues and locations.
Yeah, I think, some standouts. Obviously the Cube in McLaren Vale with Darren Berg. They're a first family of wine. They've been around for 4 generations, and they've invested in this, putting their art into this amazing standout new cellar door, where instead of going down into the cellar, you do your tastings. We can do them right now on every level. There's examples like that. I'd suggest that all our wineries, Brokenwood, all the old wineries have beautiful old locations. Penfolds in the tunnels that have been there since the 1840s. They've held some amazing events for groups of up to, I think their maximum capacity is around 250. Brokenwood, as I mentioned, has invested a lot in their cellar door, and they've got lots of smaller spaces that they can connect together. Marilla and Mona have lovely locations. But so yeah, I guess is that, and down in Margaret River, of course, you've got the art galleries at Lewin Estate and Vass Felix and so on. So there's lots of different ways, depending on the size of the group. And I suppose for us, we're really good at the smaller end of the spectrum, rather than, the 8,000 people at a conference. That's not our thing. But if you've got the top sellers that you want to pull out from that 8,000 and take on an amazing experience, that's where we would fit into the mix.
Great. And I know wine is a key feature, obviously. They're wineries with amazing premium wine, and some of those unique experiences with wine and what you can do for groups are the selling points. But
yes,
there are some really unique, venues and locations and activities for those, if there is someone in the group or some that aren't wine focused so much.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great. Well, we don't have any other questions at this stage. So unless anyone last call for questions, I think we'll leave it there. So ladies, thank you so much. Thank you to Elizabeth and to Kate for sharing an update on your products. Hopefully you found that beneficial. They really are some unique, product opportunities around Australia, easy access to some of the major cities, but also located in some regional areas. And we feel, really good opportunity to be included in the mix for your next domestic events. So thank you for your time today. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know at Business Events Australia, or we will send as a follow-up the contact details for both the ladies. And as I mentioned, we are recording this webinar, so we will send you the link if you would like to share it with colleagues. So thanks for your time, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Bye.